Hi, I'm Mel.
And I'm Jannelle.
And this is the Murder Mamas.
Not Murder Mama.
Welcome.
Welcome. I'm laughing about.
Sounded like a hymn at the end of church. Welcome.
We're here.
We are
it's almost
here.
Halloween.
Ooh, spooky.
Spooky. So
Neighbors across the street put up a fucking inflatable now over their door. So I was like, really? Do I have to go back? There's probably like nothing out there that I can buy now, but
yeah, you're
neighbor wars.
Keeping Up with the Joneses. Halloween Decorations Edition 2023.
Seriously. We'll do better next year.
You'll have all year to prepare.
I will.
Save up.
Yeah.
Get a 12-foot mummy skeleton.
Fuck yeah. I'm gonna get 2.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right, get 2. You do that.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's almost Halloween.
It is. This will come out on Halloween if you choose to listen to it on the day that it comes out.
Thanks for interrupting me. Super appreciate that. So because it's Halloween, we are going to do scary stories.
Scary stories.
So if you hate that, then bye. But if you want to listen to us talk about scary stories, then hi.
Hi.
Welcome.
Welcome.
I sound like a computer. I did want to talk about one thing briefly.
Yes.
Vander Sloot.
Yeah. Asswipe.
Okay, well, sure. So he admitted to murdering Natalie Holloway.
Yeah.
And it's like, you could have saved people. I mean, first off, why'd you kill her? Second off, you could have saved people, her family, her friends, like anyone who cared about her, so much heartache.
Yeah. How long has it been?
I want to say she went missing in like...
shit, I forget.
I gotta get the right... It
was a long time ago.
It's the 2000s.
Yeah.
Like 2004.
Yeah, that was...
Now I gotta look it up for real. And like, the way he said he did it, like...
Yeah, he's...
bludgeoned to...
Right.
Why?
Oh, yeah.
May 30th, 2005.
Yeah. What really gets me is like when they showed clips from 2005 with the parents and then they show them now and you're like, oh wow. Like they've aged obviously because it's been so long, but it's like that hits you. Like that's how long it's been. That's how many nights they haven't slept.
Yeah.
Because of this asshole.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. I'm not saying they look old, but I'm just saying they're like they've
It put into perspective how much time.
Yeah.
Like truly how much time has passed.
Yeah.
And it's like they suspected him from the beginning.
Right, from the beginning.
And they just couldn't pin it on him. I was reading something where like they suspected that his dad helped dispose of the body because he says he just like put her in the water.
Yeah,
but like you would have had to go out pretty far like to not find her, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So that was terrible. And then Maine.
Which
also terrible.
Active shooter currently as of
Manhunt.
10/26. He has not been found. I do not understand.
Yeah.
But he shot, I think it's up to 18 people.
He murdered 18 people.
And he's only been given 8 counts of murder for his warrant. I wonder why they do that.
Maybe it was like one location.
Oh, maybe. Okay, they haven't.
Because there was like 8. There was like 8 at one location and 7 at the other.
Maybe,
and then some died at the hospital.
Right.
I think 3,
maybe that's why.
And others are still in like critical condition.
Right. But I was like, knock them with every single... Don't not add those on. Those other people needed to be added on too.
Of course they will. But I mean, first you got to find them. So.
Yeah. And then I read an article, I don't know if it's true, that he had a girlfriend and those were 2 of the places that they frequented a lot, like together. So he went to there saying maybe he could have found her, but I'm like, if she wasn't there, why didn't you just fucking walk out? What's the point? So I don't know.
I mean, maybe, but I also kind of think like Maine's a pretty small state.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how many. It's that town has like 30,000 people in it, and it's their second biggest town.
Right.
Like I don't know how many places there are.
Yeah.
To frequent.
Well, that's what
in these
Auntie was saying was like he went to the 2 places that they had available besides.
And like maybe there are more places. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know it's lots of forest. Like that's gotta suck to find anybody. It's just wooded and covered and just green, foresty, right? I don't know. I've been to New Hampshire, but I haven't been to Maine. I'm assuming it's the same thing.
Probably pretty similar. Pretty similar. Yeah. So yeah, that's been. I can't. I know. It's really bad. Started on how much I want to talk about how preventable it is.
Yeah.
So, anyways, now that we've covered those two topics, we're gonna talk about scary stories because it's Halloween, and also I kind of needed a break.
Yeah.
So. So my first story is they're all going to be from Reddit.
Okay.
Like last year.
Yeah.
So this one is from a Reddit thread from 3 years ago that is asking nurses and doctors of Reddit, what is your weirdest, scariest paranormal stories that took place during work?
No. No. Like in a hospital?
Let's see. And this story is by user Jalcott, and the story goes, I'm a psychiatric nurse. Early in my career, I worked at a residential mental health facility. There was a resident I'll call Marion Duchesne. He was an elective mute, which simply means that he couldn't talk, but there was no pathological findings as to why. Already creeped out. He had spoken earlier in his life and in fact seemed quite normal back then, with no notable exception of being close to 7 feet tall.
Oh shit. It's pretty tall.
It's really tall. He had been raised in the deep south and joined the military when he was 19. After boot camp, he was stationed somewhere in the south. One night, he just vanished. It was declared an AWOL for years. So he vanished from the military.
Right.
And finally, he was declared missing and dead. 10 years later, a 7-foot-tall man walked into a VA hospital emergency room in my part of the Midwest and said to the receptionist, my name is Marion Duchesne, and I've been dead for 10 years.
What the fuck?
Those were the last words he ever spoke. He was covered with dust, and he was wearing the same clothes he'd been reported to be wearing the night he vanished. His social security number had not been used, and he had no identification on his person. However, they were able to identify him, I guess, via fingerprints. He was well fed and in good health, except for his refusal to speak. The family was notified, but they said they had already grieved their lost man and that whomever was claiming to be him simply could not be.
Yeah.
They said he was a quote-unquote haint and a stand-in for their dead relative and demanded not to be contacted again. So I don't know what a haint is, but I'm hoping we'll get some clarity on it. Marion paced all day, every day, not in a frantic way, but just lumbering up and down the halls and outside. He smiled all the time and would be moving his mouth in a way that indicated talking or muttering, but he was dead silent. He had an unnerving habit of throwing his head back with his mouth wide open as if he were laughing heartily, but not even a breath could be heard. If told to go to the dining room for a meal, he'd go and eat, but if nobody told him, he just kept pacing, never indicating hunger. I offered a cigarette. He'd smoke in an oddly formal way, almost delicately, if that makes sense. But he never seemed to crave smoking. The man wanted nothing. If I talked to him, he appeared to listen, periodically throwing his head back in that laughter-mimicking way of his. There was nothing to do for this man. Various medications were tried, but they did not affect him positively or negatively. Occupational therapy did nothing because Marion would just grin, and unless told to stay put, he'd get up and start pacing again. On my last day at that job on the way to something better, the last thing I saw was Marion pacing in the parking lot, throwing his head back to laugh, quote unquote. Later I wondered if all along I'd been dealing with a ghost. All these years later, I still don't know.
The fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's creepy.
That is like...
So he like came into the hospital, but he was already dead?
Yeah.
And then they treated him?
I mean, that's what it sounds like.
Oh my god, no. That's a hard pass.
Just like, I don't know, could you imagine interacting with someone who like walked around and like...
No. Laughed and
like
paced?
That, you know?
No, absolutely not. Slowly back away and get the fuck out of there.
Well, and even the family being like, never contact us again. That's not hard. Like, that's like a haint. And now that makes me want to Google what a haint is.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to do that.
Okay. Yeah, that's really creepy.
A ghost.
Yeah. Supernatural
being, alternative form of haunt.
Huh.
A haint is an old Southern word for a specific type of ghost or evil spirit from the Carolina coast.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. The whole working in the psychiatric ward part of it, though, like, creeps me out.
You know, people who do, like, urban exploring, and they go, like, no, absolutely not. I was watching a video of someone doing that, and they were in like a hospital in New Orleans that got like flooded during Hurricane Katrina and like never reopened. And there was like this stairwell.
No.
And because the building's, you know, like vacant.
Yeah.
Someone was in the stairwell, but like who knows at what floor, whistling and like clanging on metal.
Oh, no.
And I was like,
oh my God.
I'm so gone.
No, there's no way.
I'm actually not even in that building at all to begin with, but like, I'm so gone.
Never.
Never.
Mm-mm.
No, absolutely not. Mm-mm. You know what else really creeps me out? There's videos on like Instagram and TikTok of like the Appalachian Mountains after dark and like all the weird noises that come out of there. And, like,
yeah, no.
There's so many stories of like cryptids and all these things there. I'm like, no. Nope, not for me. Nope.
We watch like, or Auntie watches like Naked and Afraid, or those types of shows, and I'm like, no. Like, you're out in the dark in the wilderness with the other animals and they're making sounds around. Like, how do you go to sleep? You're getting eaten by mosquitoes. There's like wild pigs like surrounding you, trying to get at you. Like, what the fuck's the matter with these people? That sounds horrific. Like, I could never do that. Naked, too. And you're like, you have no covering on. So, like, the sun's beating down on you. You don't have any sunscreen.
Why are you talking about Naked and Afraid?
I don't know.
Why are you talking about Naked and Afraid?
It really annoys me that people decide to go do that kind of stuff.
Okay. Well.
I feel like they're putting themselves in danger that they don't need to be doing.
Oh, okay.
And they're doing it naked.
Do you have any personal ghost stories? What's your take on ghosts and paranormal?
See, I don't know. My mom said when I was younger, after my dad died, she said, I think I saw him in my bedroom, or that's what I told her. But like, I don't remember that at all. And my mom has said she was laying in bed one night and she couldn't move her neck either way. And she could like see the light like coming from the side, but she couldn't turn her head because she was just stuck. And all she heard was, "Isn't she beautiful?" And like, it was in my dad's voice. And she was like, I think he was talking to someone else, like an angel or something. And she said, then he was gone. And then I turned my head and there was nothing there.
How weird.
So I don't know. Like, and then, there's another thing. After he had died, their closet was kind of messy. My mom's kind of a messy person on the closet side. And she walked in one day and everything was like aligned and straight and like color coded and everything.
Weird.
Yeah. So.
You know, I have one. I don't know. I feel like my brain is really good at like manifesting things and like creating things if I think about it.
Right.
Anyways, when Blake was a baby, he would sleep in like a little bassinet next to our bed. And one night he had like rolled over. He was still swaddled, but like he was able to roll for somehow.
Yeah.
And like we didn't know that. And so he had done that in the night, and I heard my grandma's voice say, I was asleep.
Yeah.
And my grandma's voice said, wake up the baby. That's all she said.
Ugh.
Nothing else, like, not like, you need to get him. Like, it was literally, like, urgent.
Right.
And, like, almost yelling at me, but, like, just this sense of urgency. Like,
this matters.
And it was her voice. Like, I will never forget her voice. And it was totally her voice. And I woke up, and he was awake.
Yeah.
But, like, not really crying, but, like, you know how little newborns do. And he was like...
Oh God, yeah.
And I like moved him over, and he obviously was fine. Yeah. But it was so scary. And then we stopped swaddling him once we knew that he could roll over. It was like the first time he had done it, and it was
that's frightening.
I'll never forget it.
Yeah,
like dead sleep.
Yeah,
and just. And it was like it wasn't coming from inside my brain. Like, it was an external voice. And I asked Chris, did you hear that? And he was like, no, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, I heard my grandma say, wake up the baby.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember any of that.
Yeah.
But my mom has told me that several times. So,
but like, I don't even know that I believe that it was like my grandma, you know, like I think it was like my tired like
mother's
new
intuition,
mom, like brain hearing him struggle, and like maybe I was having a dream about something, so I was hearing her voice, like but it was just crazy how like I went to her voice, like no one else's but like hers, and she had been dead for quite some time at that point.
Yeah. Weird,
right?
It is weird.
I have one more scary story, like ghosty story from myself.
Oh.
There was this really, I hated this church. It was a white, have I told you this story before?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know.
Was a little...
You haven't even started it yet.
Well, read my mind. So it was this little white church that was on top of a hill, kind of. And it had a red door. It had two sets of red doors.
Yeah.
But it was a white church. So it was like that contrast always really freaked me out. And
that's weird. I don't like that.
I thought having like a red door on a church to me seemed weird. Like I associate red with like
the
negative
devil.
Feelings.
Yeah.
Not even the devil, just like
that
anger. Yeah. And like it's not a peaceful color to me.
No, it's not.
But right next to this church was a cemetery. So there's like creep factor number 2 for me.
That's
like,
really creepy.
Big time. And I don't think they were related. Like, it wasn't, like, the church and the cemetery.
Right. When is one?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So, when I was a teenager, I was driving past this church, like, kind of in the middle of the night, like, midnight-ish, with my cousin. And the red doors on one side of the church were open, but there was no one in the parking lot.
Ew. Yeah.
Like nothing.
Yeah.
And it was so fucking scary.
No, that's weird. Yeah.
And then you had to go from the church to drive past the cemetery to get where we were going.
Yeah.
And it was this scary. It's like
just like, close your eyes and scream and push the gas.
Well, and then I think that the cemetery gate was also unlocked and like open.
Yeah.
And it was
creepy.
Really unnerving. Like, I don't know, like, nothing, there was, like, no ghosties came out. It was
probably the night man doing his
job. There was not
not
a single car.
Oh, yeah, that's really creepy.
It was just weird. And, like, I had driven that road thousands of times in my life.
Yeah.
And it had never, at all different times of the day, like, the doors were never open, even when, like, church service was happening there.
Yeah.
It was so fucking weird.
It's weird.
I don't like that tingly fear sensation you get.
I don't like that.
Yeah. All right. This is again from a Reddit thread. They're all going to be. This is from user Nuclear Hubris.
Okay.
And it says, I was driving across country with my mom and sister. I was 16, my sister 20, my mom in her 50s. It was late, but we were well rested still and alert. We were driving along an interstate and needed gas, and they needed to pee. So we stopped at the only rest stop in like 200 miles.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
It's already creepy.
There was a van full of teenagers on some road trip and a small gray compact car, like a Honda Accord or something. It says some shit. I don't know why I censored them. Parked at the pump in front of us. Two men about 17 to 20 were standing outside the Honda in hoodies, statue fucking still. The teenagers to our left. When we got there, everything felt wrong. God, you know that that deep gut feeling when you're like, nope.
Yep.
Shouldn't be here.
Yep.
There was a deep and unsettling feeling about the place, and we'd not felt that way at any other rest stop.
Yeah, no. Goodbye.
We'd been on the road for days and seen many rest stops at night and had never been afraid until then. My mom and sister went inside, and I stayed in the car. No.
Travel together.
Yep. I heard the teenagers say they were creeped out and couldn't get the pump to work, and they left in a hurry. I was mostly watching the car in front of the two men who had still not moved at all, not an inch. They weren't talking, they weren't on phones, there was no light anywhere but the dim overhead lights on the gas station awning. They were just fucking standing there, still as stone. My sister and mom came running back out to the car, and when they got in, the two men slowly turned to look at us while not moving or pivoting the rest of their bodies.
What?
Like...
Yeah, no, that's not okay.
And I swear to fucking shit, we all saw the same thing. They had eyes dark as pitch and empty. So like...
Ew, no. Yeah.
Truly empty. Not black, not reflecting any light at all. Just a fucking void.
Ew.
We booked it. We have not traveled in excess of 100 miles per hour before or since. But fuck that day, it was warranted. We drove until we were in the next city before we got out of the car again. And you know the worst fucking thing about it. Not the eyes, not the stillness, not the horrible feeling, not the weirdos in the gas station who kept telling my mom and sister, my mama will like you over and over while mopping the same spot. That's the creepiest part of this whole story.
Yeah. What the fuck?
While mopping the same spot on the floor with a dry mop and an empty bucket.
What?
It was the fact that we couldn't find the place on any map.
Ew.
We knew exactly which spot on the interstate to look, and we couldn't fucking find it on Google's maps, any paper map we had. We even asked locals about the creepy gas station out on that stretch of road to confuse looks. And are you sure you weren't traveling on highway blank and not interstate blank? We traveled on that interstate since, and there was no rest stop.
Ew. Oh.
What?
Yeah, that's creepy. It's just like, imagine like we're just like in some simulation or something, and
like you just like took a wrong turn,
walked into a void. Yeah, like, and it was just like not meant to be seen, and you're like, what? And no one's gonna believe you. Yeah, we're all puppets.
How do you feel about aliens?
I like aliens.
Do you think they're real?
I don't know. I mean, now that we're like exploring more planets out there, and that there's like, we know there's like water and there could be things that could survive. I don't see why there wouldn't be. But I don't see why we wouldn't have seen them by now either. You know? Do
you know that we haven't seen them by now?
No, I don't. But I mean, like, there's nothing like... It's all either secret, you know, from the U.S., or it's just, like, been debunked, or...
Can I tell you an interesting alien story?
Sure.
I was in the car for this story, but I was asleep, so I didn't see it.
Okay.
So one time we went to Big Bear as a family to go like snowboarding and skiing. Mm-hmm. And my brother and his wife, I'm not sure if they were married at that time, but they had driven up in a separate car. So it was like them in their car and then us in like our van. And it was my parents and my other sibling. Mm-hmm. And we were driving, like down the mountains and like through Riverside and that whole section, like late at night. And so at some point, I think they were still up, like going down the mountain. They saw both cars saw the exact same thing. So much that my dad called my brother and was like, "Are you seeing this shit?"
Oh, shit.
So, and my mom tells the same story. She was in the passenger seat. Again, I was asleep. Yeah. So I didn't see what they saw.
Yeah.
But like, they saw this bright flash of light and like, it was moving like very quickly. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden there was like this floating, like, my mom calls it like a balloon shaped orb sort of that like floated up to the window and like looked. Mm-hmm. It didn't have a face or anything, but like it was like she describes it as being like feeling almost like calm or like inquisitive.
Yeah.
And like looked into the car and then like floated. Again, they're driving on a freeway going like 65 to 70, floated over to my brother's car in front of my dad and did the same exact thing in his driver's side window.
Wow.
And then zoomed off.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Isn't that fucking creepy?
Yeah.
I'm like, did you guys trip on shrooms before we went up there? Like, what did you do?
Were you on acid?
And like, my dad's not a person who's ever like told scary stories and been like, oh, we're spooky shit. And like, he fought in wars. I'm sure he has all kinds of stories.
Yeah.
And like,
but those are true.
Like, it makes me like believe him.
Yeah.
That it was real.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. I don't like that.
I don't know how I feel about aliens.
Yeah, I don't know. I watched the X-Files. That was my thing growing up. And it was like, they could never prove anything. And so like, I think that's in my head. Like all this shit happened, but like when it came down to it, nothing was
like, there was no definitive answer.
Yeah. And so I think that's been stuck in my brain. It's the X-Files.
I mean, I feel like as a person, I'm a skeptic.
Yeah. Me too.
Like I like to have things that are like hard. Like I don't even know if I believe my parents. Like, I was in the exact same car, like, but I didn't see it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And like, I try to explain things away. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
I'm more of a science-based person. I want the explanation and then the why to go along with it.
I don't know that all of life is science-based, though. Like, I do feel like there's parts that just aren't.
Maybe,
like,
yeah. But, like, for the most part, like, I want to... Like, I'm like, no, there's a background. There's a science background to that. Like, you guys lived in San Diego. It was probably by the base, and something was happening. No?
No. It's not by any basis.
Okay.
Because we were out in, like, you know.
Oh, yeah, you were on Riverside. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I don't know then.
Like, again, but, like, I don't even think I believe my parents.
Right. But, like, why would they make up something and have the same exact story as your brother in the car in front of them?
I know.
That's weird.
I don't know.
That's weird.
Well, maybe I don't believe them.
I mean, we're here, living on Earth, so why wouldn't there be other life living on some other planet? I mean,
I just don't know that they would, like, be visiting us. Like, for what purpose?
Maybe they're curious.
But, like... Are they advanced societies that have that kind of technology? Like,
yeah, I don't know. Well, because like we go to Mars, we're like curious to see. So maybe, I mean, nobody lives on Mars, I don't think. But like, what if we go to a planet and it actually does have someone on it? And they're like, what are you doing here, you alien? And we're like, we just want to know what you're doing. Like,
we're just hanging around, just popping in to say
curious. Like,
don't mind me just watching.
Like, what you guys got going on?
Yeah, well, then that's like an interesting thought. Mm-hmm. Like, have aliens from these other planets, if real, like, have they sent rovers to Earth and, like, we just didn't notice it?
Yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm. You know, like, maybe they sent rovers to Earth in the 1800s before we had, like, radar
anything
and blah,
going
blah,
on.
blah,
Yeah.
And so, like, they already sort of scoped it out.
Yeah.
And now they just, like, pop in when they feel like it.
Maybe.
But you would think, like, we have so much technology and, like, radar.
We do, but we also have a government that likes to hide things. And they're really good at that.
Yeah.
They're really good at that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, why is Area 51 so, like, off?
I don't know.
A big
You should have stormed it.
We should do that.
Well, they already tried to. You know, there was
but we could try it.
I'm not interested in dying. I prefer to stay alive. Like,
let's build a bubble until we can just roll on in there.
A bulletproof bubble. just sweating profusely trying to push a 5-inch thick piece of glass.
We have a podcast. It's okay. We're just trying to figure this shit out.
We're journalists. Alright. I'm going to do one more story.
Okay.
This one's not about aliens. This is Ghost.
Okay.
It's the same thread. And this is by user Alakutson. Sure. Years ago, a few friends and I went to hang out in a graveyard. Why? Stupid thing to do for a bunch of bored 18-year-olds on a weekday night, but what happens next was very real to all of our experiences.
I'm pretty sure I would have done that if we lived by a cemetery.
Okay, well,
we would have gotten high as fuck in there.
So we didn't have a cemetery, but we had a spot called Elfin Forest, which was supposedly haunted, which scared the shit out of me my entire life. I used to hate driving through it. When I was a little kid, my mom used to tell us this ghost story about a white lady. Have I told you this story?
I don't think so.
Okay, so the white lady would dance around on the top of the hills around us, and my mom would say that she would look in the cars because when she, like, settled there, someone stole her children.
Okay.
Like the indigenous people stole her children. And so she would look in the cars for her kids.
Ew, that's weird.
And so, and like, my parents used to scare the shit out of me with the smell. So we would drive through this place and they would lock and unlock the doors.
Your parents are fucked. That's amazing.
Isn't that so fucked up? So then there was one Halloween where we drove through because Halloween's spooky and this like spooky place. And also there was like a midget town there. Like I don't know if that's the correct word, but that's what it was called in the 90s.
I think it's little people.
But it was like a village of small houses.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. And a...
Was it like, Santa's workshop?
No.
No, you know how they like put that up sometimes.
No. And there was also like a nudist colony and like a weird church. My dad lived out there at one point as a child.
Was he a nudist? Church.
No. And there was like also there's like all kinds of ghost stories there. Yeah. Anyways, so we would go out there as like teens and like try to do spooky shit. And I'm like, I'm fucking done with this. Yeah. My parents used to scare me. They're so bad. One Halloween, my dad and uncle decided that they were going to drive all of us kids in a fucking minivan through Elfin Forest. And it used to only be this tiny little road where like with no lights, tree lined. And you could not see like behind you. Once the light passed, it was pitch black.
Yeah. No.
And now it's all paved.
Right.
And like there's an actual road that goes through it, but it was dirt roads. It was
that's
so
scary.
That's really it was so scary. But I used to ask to go there like regularly.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
So this Halloween, they pretended, my dad and uncle pretended that our car was broken. So my uncle got out to look and then started slamming his hands and screaming.
Oh my God, no. That's horrible.
Isn't that so? It's so fucked up.
It's so fucked up. Oh, it's hilarious.
I don't know why. Me and my dad used to listen to like Casey. No, it's like a talk radio station that on like Sunday nights it would play, or like weekend nights it would play like scary like alien stories. Like people would call in. I can't think of what it's called right now. Fuck.
Huh. That's cool.
So we used to drive around and listen to that, and we'd go through Elephant Forest together.
That's cool.
What is that called? I think it's Coast to Coast.
I don't know.
Coast to Coast Radio. Yeah. Coast to Coast AM. It's a American late night radio talk show that deals with things like paranormal conspiracy theories. And it was from 1988 until 2003. It was hosted by Art Bell.
Huh, okay.
I used to listen to that.
That's cool. I like that.
I don't know why. I'm thinking of that. Anyways, so we used to do that as a teen. That was like our scary thing. We would go to Elephant Forest and try to get like, there's like videos of people on YouTube driving through there, like trying to record their haunts.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the story. We were driving my friend's really beat up Subaru through the massive graveyard. We stopped to get out and walk around. We walked down a hill and came across a little pond. There was someone sitting on a rock on the other side of the pond. The figure was all black, and we couldn't make out any features other than the fact it looked like a man who was wearing some old style top hat. I'm done.
No, yeah.
I'm out.
That means he lived a long time ago.
Stupid us waved and shouted hi. Sorry. He didn't show any acknowledgement or wave back. The man sat on the rock still. All of a sudden, he jumped to his feet, started running to us on the water, and then vanished. And then into thin air, about halfway across the pond. My friends and I screamed and ran back to her car. Right move.
Yeah.
I didn't want to believe what we saw, but we all saw it happen. We got back to her car and tried to start it. It wouldn't start.
Oh, fuck that.
Frantically trying to get it started, we all started panicking and getting very scared.
Yep.
That's when we heard some banging on the car.
Oh my God,
from the
no.
back.
Fuck.
It wasn't a constant bang, but every few seconds or so, we'd hear it. Nobody was outside from what we could see in the dark, but something was making a noise on the car. At this point, I'm having a full-blown panic attack, screaming and crying to get us out. Luckily, my friend seemed a bit less panicky than I was and helped keep me calm. It was obvious that they were just as freaked out, however, more speechless and pale-faced. We would have left the car in the graveyard and walked the long journey to the exit if it wasn't for the banging on the car. We didn't want to get out and leave. After about a minute, the banging stopped. I'll call my mom to come give us a boost, I thought. I'm going to be honest. If Blake or Bo called me and was like, Mom, I'm stuck in a cemetery with my friend's shitty ass car that won't start, and we maybe saw a ghost run at us and now there's banging on the car, I'd be like, oh, sweetie, you're going to have to call AAA. Like, I'm drunk. Can't help.
I am shrooming really hard right now. It's not a good night.
Oh, baby, that's so cute. I love you. Bye.
Good luck. Be home by midnight.
Seriously, like, good luck. Try your dad. Maybe he'll do it. This is not a...
Oh, yeah, that'd be scary. Yeah, I don't know.
Scary ghosties and vomit. Those are the things Mom doesn't handle.
Like, how do you... You can't, like, shoot a ghost. You can't stab a ghost. You can't run over a ghost, right? Like,
yeah, but doesn't that mean, like, how can a ghost hurt you?
Well, I don't know, because they're weird. Fuck. I don't know.
All right. She said, I'll call my mom to give us a boost, I thought. I'm not entirely sure why none of us thought to call sooner. However, I don't believe anyone thinks rationally while panicking.
No.
Yep. At this point, 15 minutes had gone by since we got back to her car. I opened my phone and started dialing and realized I had no service.
Yeah.
None of us had any cell service. We bantered back and forth for a few more minutes trying to figure out what to do and decided against leaving the car because whatever was outside was not what we wanted to come face to face with. The next 30 minutes were spent trying to get her car started. No banging was heard afterwards, but we felt this heavy feeling around us, almost as if it created this pressure on our chest. It's quite difficult to explain as I've never felt anything like it before. Finally, her car started and she hit the pedal to the metal. We sped out of the graveyard so fast. Immediately crossing the gates, all of our phones regained cell service. I'll never be able to explain what caused any of this or why certain things happened. One thing I know for certain is that someone or something was out there and it was not an animal or human.
Yeah. Yeah, that would freak me out too.
No.
No. It's a hard pass.
No. How about there's death came for him or my mother attracted evil? Which one?
My mother attracted evil.
I can read it. Okay. It was deleted from Reddit, but I can read it from this spot.
Okay.
So it says, my mother attracted evil. After my parents divorced when I was a teenager, I lived with my mother. I experienced a lot of paranormal happenings several times when I was reading in bed. The room would start to feel really icy. Next, it would feel as if something or somebody that hated me was staring at me.
Ew.
When I got that feeling, I would leave the room and come back an hour later. Sometimes during the day, I would see a shadow figure sneaking along my bedroom walls.
No.
Something in the flat was pretending to be my dog.
Psychologist.
Listen to this. Something in the flat was pretending to be my dog. I went into my room and heard a deep growl from under the bed. My dog wasn't capable of making a noise that deep. It sounded like either a really big dog or a man doing his best dog impersonation. Other times my dog would whimper and pace in the room next to mine but wouldn't come when called, as if she was afraid of something in the hallway.
Ew.
When I moved in with my father, the paranormal activity stopped. I don't know if that's the whole one because it was deleted. But
yeah.
I don't know. Like, sometimes I just get a bad vibe.
When the animals do shit, that makes me think, like, there's something going on. Like, if the animal is too scared to go out the door or something and they're pacing back and forth, like, something's happening. They don't do... Because they don't think like that. You know, they're not like, oh, I'm going to play a joke on my owner. Like, that's not how they think. It's just they react.
Well, and, like, the growling under the bed.
Yeah, the growling under the bed is horrifying. But, like, I would have to look under the bed.
Absolutely not.
Oh, I had to.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No. I'd be like...
What are you're going to shoot randomly under a bed?
Yes, if it's growling at me, fuck yes I am.
No. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shut that door and that room does not exist. Not to me. It's not my room.
Oh, fuck.
Refuse to go in that room ever again.
Bruce the other day, like, got in, I was, like, sitting in our family room, and he went over and started growling, like, at the kitchen. He doesn't growl. Like, he was just, like, making this weird noise, and I was like, So then I had to go look, but there was nothing there. But I, like, took him and put him back, and I put Ladybird behind me because I didn't want them to get hurt. And there was nobody there.
Dude.
Because I was like, you hurt my dogs. You're going down.
My dogs do that during the day, like while I'm working.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Like randomly, they'll start barking at nothing.
Yeah.
And when Coco does it, I'm like, you bark all the time. It's like the dog who cried wolf. Like, I'm like, I don't care. But when Luna barks,
yeah,
I'm like,
what the fuck?
What the fuck?
Something was going by.
It scares me so bad.
Yeah. Because, like, what did they see? She's not barking at nothing. Something's
usually a squirrel.
Yeah, but something's making her. Something made Bruce, like, uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like sometimes kids and animals, like, I think they can sense shit. We can't.
I think so.
Or also
too.
like the cats.
Yeah,
Every once in a while, the cats will just like stare in a corner.
Yeah, it's really weird.
And like one time, Blossom was staring in a corner, and like she got all spooky tailed, where like the poof. Yeah. And I was like, you never get spooky tailed. Like I've never seen her like that. But she wasn't making any noise. She was looking and spooky-tailed.
Wow. Yeah, that was
Do you
creepy.
see a shadow?
Right.
Or...
Yeah, what you looking at?
You're a ghost.
Should we leave?
Yeah, like, do we need to leave now, Blossom? Is it unsafe? Please tell me. Tell me what we need to do.
Tell me.
Anyways, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Thanks for listening. You can find us on Instagram at
The Murder Mamas,
Facebook,
The M Mamas,
Twitter,
The Murder Mamas,
email,
themurdermamas@gmail.com.
And if you like us and are happy with our content, please leave us a review and a 5-star rating. We would appreciate it. Bye.